January 4th, 1992, RFK Stadium, Washington, D.C. In the upper left-hand corner of this picture, you can see a rookie, Brett Favre, wearing the number 4 jersey for the Atlanta Falcons. He did not play at all during this divisional playoff game, but little did anyone know that day that this man would go on to become one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, winning a Super Bowl, multiple MVP awards, and at the time of his retirement, holding virtually every NFL passing record. He would also go on to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But at the conclusion of that 1991 season, little did anyone think that this man would ever accomplish what he did. He had 4 attempts, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions to his career. That was it. And those 2 interceptions came earlier in the season at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. On November 10th, 1991, the then Washington Redskins were having one of the best offensive seasons an NFL team has ever had to this day. They were facing the Atlanta Falcons, and they crushed them, 56-17. Late in the fourth quarter, a rookie Brett Favre came into play, and he had his first ever NFL pass attempt. It was intercepted in return for a Redskins touchdown. He would have another interception in the game, and he would leave RFK Stadium that night with 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions to his name. After that night, Brett Favre would return as the backup quarterback for the divisional playoff game on January 4th, 1992. Another loss to the Washington Redskins, this time 24-7. At the conclusion of the season, Brett Favre would be traded to the Green Bay Packers, where he would create his legacy. And he would never play at RFK Stadium ever again, because after the 1996 season, the then Washington Redskins moved out of RFK Stadium, and they moved to their new stadium in Landover, Maryland, then called Jack Kent Cooke Stadium, now called FedEx Field. Brett Favre would have some good games against the Redskins later on in his career, but he never played them at RFK Stadium again. And as far as I can find out, he's never returned to RFK Stadium since. Why is this a big deal? Well, today in the year 2022, RFK Stadium is set to be demolished. Yes, after the then Washington Redskins left, it was used primarily as the home of the DC United Soccer Club. And then in 2005, when the Montreal Expos moved to Washington, D.C. and became the Nationals, it served as the home of the Washington Nationals from 2005 until the conclusion of the 2007 season, when the Nationals moved to their new stadium, Nationals Park. The D.C. United Soccer Club moved at the conclusion of the 2017 season to their new stadium nearby. RFK Stadium also used to host many concerts that came to Washington, D.C. But by the time DC United moved out, there was really no tenant for RFK Stadium. There was no use anymore. And the money for the repairs just wasn't there. As repairs and maintenance started to fall apart, it was decided that RFK Stadium was no more. They decided to make plans to demolish the stadium, and as of the making of this video, in 2022, RFK Stadium is set to be demolished. RFK Stadium has many memories for many people, but for the purpose of this video, this was where Brett Favre attempted his first ever career NFL pass. And as far as I can tell, he's never returned to RFK. I wonder if he would like to just walk on the field one last time just to reminisce about what that kid was thinking in 1991 during that divisional playoff game in January of 1992.
And I'm sure he thinks the records are just wonderful. But if you don't make it to the Super Bowl with a great record, all of it doesn't count. Brett Favre, the rookie out of southern Mississippi, in the game for the Falcons from their own 12. Favre. And it's intercepted by Andre Collins. Touchdown, Washington. Second interception of the season for Collins. Well, Brett Favre, did you ever have the Redskins on your schedule at Southern Mississippi? Wow. Welcome to RFK and the NFL. Good job of concentration by Andre Collins as Favre throws this ball in there. Tries to zip it into Pritchard. Ball slips through his hands. Pritchard, he's trying the best he can to pull down Big Andre, but Andre will not be denied.
I thought this would be an interesting story to share with everyone. Not many people know it, and with RFK Stadium finally coming down this year, set to be demolished, I figured now would be the perfect time to share this story. So if you happen to find yourself in Washington, D.C. before RFK Stadium is demolished, go take a look at the old stadium and say, wow, this is where the legend of Brett Favre was born. Not in a glorious way, but the future would become one of the greatest journeys in NFL history. Thank you for watching.